Guilty, Liberal Victims and Their Assault on America came out earlier this year, right after New Year's. I think it was January 6th, in hardcover. It's out in paperback now. And as the subtitle indicates, the idea is how liberals either claim to be victims or use others as victims, as cat's paws to promote heinous policies or to avoid ever having to defend their heinous policies. Because in modern America, he who was offended first wins. And so I go through that both with various, phony victim groups and how it all developed. I mean, it started with the original victim group, maybe the only one that actually were victims, that is to say blacks. They went through slavery and Jim Crow laws. What did feminists go through? What did white women in Scarsdale who find housework demeaning go through? But, you have all these victim categories. And curiously, I mean, it's interesting now in the wake of Fort Hood, it's the apotheosis of my book. Why wasn't anything done about the alleged shooter, Major Hassan, when he's going around saying things that I think would have caught my attention? Infidels should be beheaded and have hot oil poured down their throats. And that the war on terrorism, he calls a war on Islam, supports the terrorist act earlier this year in Arkansas, a Muslim shooting up an army recruiting center and killing a soldier. What we call warning signs, I guess. But all of these are blown off because on September 11th, Muslims leapt to the top of the victim flow chart in liberals' worldview. And how does the media react? And how do liberals react? Well, the President of the United States tells us all, don't jump to conclusions, and the media blankets the airwaves and the front pages of the newspapers with stories of apparently the first recorded case of pre-traumatic stress syndrome, inasmuch as Major Hassan had not been deployed yet. Well, that's because on 9/11, the nation was under attack, and liberals' immediate response is, we must surrender. So how do we surrender? We treat Muslims as victims. Hassan's a victim. He was taunted for being a Muslim. And now all Muslims are victims of Hassan's shooting because people will look strangely at Muslims in the military. Well, why will they do that? Actually, they probably will, thanks to liberal policies, because we know the military is so PC, this victimology culture has so taken over the military that you can't count on the military to remove the crazy Muslims. So the military isn't distinguishing between the jihadist Muslims and the patriotic Muslims. So how can we distinguish? All we know is they're both Muslims. And, that's the way it always is with liberal victimology policies. Another quick and obvious example is all of the protected groups in employment law. You can't discriminate on the basis of age, race, national origin, sexual preference, blah, blah, blah. Well, okay, if you're a businessman hiring employees, I think I'd want to hire the white guy, because if I need to fire him because he's incompetent, he can't sue. Any of the protected groups have an automatic lawsuit. So all of these policies apparently intended to protect a victim, really intended to protect lawyers who will have lots and lots of employment lawsuits, end up hurting the very people they claim to be helping. And of course, it was Guilty that had the justly famous chapter on single mothers who are held up as, I don't know, Madonna and Jesus combined, when single motherhood, sometimes a single mother can't help it. She didn't bring it on herself. She got married to someone who turned out to be a bad person, but that isn't how it is treated anymore. Single motherhood is glorified, as described in Chapter 2 of my book. And in fact, in Obama's speech at the Fort Hood Memorial, I was getting dressed to go do something at Fox, I think tape O'Reilly, and I thought I heard this out of the corner of my ear, and I asked them when I got to Fox, could you print out that memorial speech he gave? And he's talking about one of the victims of the shooting, and I mean one of the real victims, not one of the Muslims in the military whom everybody's looking at funny now. And he lists the woman's name and says, she was from blah, 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 she was a single mother, she had 2 children, blah, blah, blah. She leaves behind a loving husband. Well, wait a second, then she wasn't a single mother, was she? No, this is being, at some point in her life she was a single mother. But being a single mother is cited as if, and she won the Medal of Honor. And she graduated magna cum laude. And she was a single mother. She's not a single mother now. I mean, this used to be something, it's a tough thing you get through, but then, you know, she meets another man and gets married, and everyone thinks, oh, phew, she's not a single mother anymore. No, that is an honor and it is promoted through Hollywood, through glossy movies, through our politics. And that creates real victims, as all liberal policies do, and that is children raised without the benefit of the father. I go through the statistics on that in Chapter 2, and it will blow your mind, as it did mine.